Guys, let's look at some games from this coming up this weekend, our first week. And we're going to take our prediction table seriously this season. We're going to take it very seriously. Every week, I'm going to make sure I'm writing it down. Now we're going to take it very seriously. And we have some games to predict. And definitely we're starting off with the first game of the season, Manchester United, Fulham. Guys, you don't know how excited I am. We're back. Football is back. I'm tired. You people thought the Olympics was one amazing. It's not. It's nothing compared to when you watch the Premier League, right? But Manchester United, Fulham, and I'm starting with you, Femi. Manchester United, Fulham. Our first preview of the season and the first game of the season. What can we expect in that game, and what will the outcome be?
In a nutshell, Fulham won last season. They've got most of the same players. They've lost Paulinho, but they've bought well. And I think with the quality they have and United settling in anyway with the new players, I think Fulham will be very confident. But something in me still tells me that Bruno has just signed a new deal and he might just lead that team to victory. They look sound a little, United as well. So it will be a hard one, probably a 2-1 to United, I'll say.
I've got to agree with Femi there. I think you've made some good signings. The late is a very good signing from Bayern. I think Fulham will be formidable. I think this one will be a close one, but they're playing at Old Trafford. You've got to give the edge to Man United. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory to Manchester United.
Festus.
Funny enough, I'm still going with the 2-1, just like Femi and Eddie said. Like I said, Man U have signed well and they're playing well and they've started gelling as a team. I see them, especially at home, I think they'll be formidable. The signing of Delete, signing of Mazzori, and a whole lot of Yuri and, a whole lot of players that are coming. That defense is going to be sorted out, which is their problem last season. And with the new guys firing, I think they will edge it. I see this match ending 2-1.
I'm gonna shock you guys. Fulham will pick a point at Old Trafford. I saw Fulham's last 3 games in preseason, and they are cooking.
No.
I can tell you they are cooking. And they've added something. So one of the problems they had last season, Fulham, despite the fact that they picked some good points against some of the top teams, Arsenal, one of them, right? Yeah. The creative job in that team was rested totally on Iwobi. And so there were times it looked too much. And they've added Emil Smith-Rowe to that mix.
That partner is looking good.
It's looking good. The last 3 games I saw, they looked very, very, and they were very mobile. And then Sessegnon is going to, he's been added to that team. Sessegnon is a speedster, and then he can be a problem. He can score goals. That's Sessegnon from Tottenham.
And Muniz in front.
So I think Fulham. You're talking about United signing defenders and all of that. Lenny Yoro is not going to be playing anytime soon. He's injured. Delete is going to come into that side. Is whether you like it or not, no matter how good Delete is, he's new to the Premier League. He's going to get a rude awakening in that first game. And that one I can tell you. You know what? Fulham is going to pick a point at Old Trafford. You can take that to the bank. And the biggest game of the opening weekend, Manchester City versus Chelsea at the Etihad Stadium. Now, is it going to be a marker laying down ceremony for Manchester City, or Enzo and his Chelsea army will go there to show us what they have lined up for the season? Femi, Manchester City, Chelsea.
Well, it's going to be a tough one, honestly. The reason I think so is City would normally be themselves, very confident. But if you remember last season, they didn't look too bad, did they? They've got did one of their matches end 4-4 last season, wasn't it?
Stamford Bridge, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So they've got the Man City boy is just back from the Euros, full of confidence. I know they bought too many players.
Haaland has had a good rest.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great game, I think. But I'd have to give it to Man City, honestly. It's the first game of the season. Pep doesn't mess around. You always get, if you've got Haaland, you've got a chance. And I think City would. There'll be goals in this one because both teams are not great defensively. Man City don't keep you out these days. So probably thinking 3-2 to Man City just to get the league flying. So I'll give it to Man City, even though my mindset may end the draw, but I'll say Man City 3-2.
Eddie.
Listen, these teams play themselves very close, irrespective of the managers, right? You've had several managers in Chelsea. We know it's a revolving door there with managers coming in and out, like as if there's no tomorrow. Listen, Man City, if you want to play Man City, is usually beginning of the season. Even Pep says it, they're not fully up to scratch. The first couple of games in the season. So I don't think this is just going to be a Pep masterclass against Chelsea. I remember Chelsea have a new coach. They're starting, they are playing at home actually at Stamford Bridge.
Stamford Bridge.
Yeah,
I made it.
so I think that's going to add to that first game, Maresca first game against, and don't forget he also was a prodigy of Pep,
Pep.
as well. So I think if I remember when Arteta played Pep the first game, even though we lost, Pep still said that was very difficult, right? People that think the way that he thinks. So I'm probably going to go for a draw in this game. It's first game of the season. Man City, Chelsea is difficult for both teams, but I think that Chelsea are going to play this very close. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
You not kill me. For me, I only see one way to this, and the way is so straight. I only see a Man City win in this situation. I know last season a lot of people said, the two legs they played draw 4-4, 1-1. But if you look at the last statistics, the last 5 matches they played, which comprises of the friendly, the FA Cup, then the Premiership back and forth, and previous Premiership, Man City has won 3 times and they've had 2 draws. And the latest was the friendly they had and which they beat Chelsea 4-2. So for me, Man City is settled. Most of their players were intact. A lot of them rested. So it's not like where you have a situation where they have new players, they're trying to settle down. They are well settled. They have their reading. They're still playing. Most of their friendlies, you can see that they're still playing well. So I see them continuing where they stop, and I think they'll beat Chelsea. Chelsea is the one trying to settle down. They have a whole lot of players, a whole new manager. So they need time to gel, they need time to settle. And from the friendlies we saw, where you could see how many goals they've conceded in the course of the friendlies, I think about 15 goals, if I'm not mistaken. So you could see that there is a whole lot of work to be done in that team. So I think City will take this and not just nick it. I think City will beat Chelsea 3-1.
Worried about the way City considered goals during preseason. Considered against Chelsea, even though they won that friendly. Considered against AC Milan. They considered a lot of goals that were very uncharacteristic of Manchester City, and a lot of their big names played some of those games. But like we all said, you saw in the Community Shield, City were still City. They absolutely outplayed Manchester United, but then they conceded. And that's the thing for me is a big problem. The way they considered against Manchester United early in the game, quick counter attack from United, and if United were a bit more clinical, players like Rashford and all of that, they could have beaten Manchester City in that Community Shield, and that for me, is a problem. Is a problem, and it's the reason I feel it's going to be a goal fest at stage against these two sides, and we might not see that 4-4 last season. But I won't be surprised. But I think it's going to be a score draw, and we're going to see at least 4 goals in that game, and it's going to be a score draw. Yeah. Let's move away from this one. Another team we didn't talk about in our preview of the season, West Ham United, who have done. I think for me right now, they've done the best business in the transfer window. They've got 6 tested players. 4-5 tested players. I was looking at it on my radio show, looking at them on my radio show, and they are still linked to some other players, right now. They are up against their first game of the season is against Aston Villa. We've talked about with Vox Lyrical about how beautiful and how good, Unai Emery is, but then he's going to West Ham United. West Ham United playing at home. They've also had a very good preseason. Festus, let me start with you on that one. West Ham up against Aston Villa. First game of the season at the New London Stadium.
For me, I think both teams are evenly matched. And for me, I think this will lead to a closely contested draw. I see draw written all over this game. I think West Ham's home advantage might, be balanced by Villa's solid form. Villa is in good form. We know they have a good manager. They've maintained core of their team. Like you said, West Ham have bought well and they've bought experience. And at home, they are also formidable. So I see the match, it will be evenly matched. And if you look at even the historical, the bookmakers are predicting 38, 36. So which means is they are in line with my thinking, my thoughts about this match. So I think it's balanced. And if you look at last season, the last time they played 1-1, although Aston Villa won 4-1 in the first half of last season. But I think with the home advantage and with what we've discussed in terms of how they bought and Aston Villa's form, I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
Awesome. Femi?
Well, I mean, Faith is very right in terms of the teams are not too distant in terms of quality, but my concerns would be that if you look at West Ham, they need to bed in those players, don't they? Jared Bowen will always be a threat. If you've got him, you've got a chance. Kudus knows the Premier League very well now. I like the goalkeeper, Areola, so they've now added one Bissaka at the back to help Vladimir Kofal. So I'm confident that West Ham would really do well, but I just think that the fact that Villa are a settled team will just help them get in front of West Ham on the day. So possibly a 2-1 to Aston Villa for me, especially with the fact that when you've got the England striker coming back from the Euros, looking to actually just continue from where he left off last season, I think it might be a 2-1 because of that star quality of the Villa striker, the one we all know, Ollie Watkins.
Awesome. Eddie?
I love these two teams. I think there's a lot of freshness that they are going to bring to the Premier League this season. Aston Villa, we already know what they are. They finished strong, last season, and they were a very big handful for a lot of teams. West Ham, again, the effect of a new manager, coming into Lopetegui, he's quite good. He's tactically quite good. So I think this is going to be a very tactical game where both managers are going to be trying to, outperform them. I have this feeling about a 0-0 draw. I just feel like, it's they would probably maneuver themselves. I'm looking at the managers in this game, not so much the players. I think, Lopetegui has got something to prove in the Premier League. He doesn't want to lose his first game, in the Premier League. So I just have a feeling that, this might be a 0-0 draw between the two teams.
Interesting. I think West Ham will win this game. I just feel they got some of their players. They got them early enough so that for them to be part of the preseason, and they've actually looked decent enough. Aston Villa, I what say yeah, Onana is tested in the Premier League. We know what he can do. The guy is. I love him. I was hoping Arsenal would go for him at some point, right? But then, is he a Douglas Luiz? No. Onana will give you the fight for 90 minutes. Onana will run the length and breadth of the pitch for 90 minutes. But does he have the dynamism of Douglas Luiz? No. So losing Douglas Luiz is losing something that I don't think they've replaced. But beyond all of that, it's the first game of the season. West Ham will be playing at home, and they have, I think they are also a settled team, despite the number of players that are coming in. And I think they'll just nick this one. I say victory for West Ham United going into this game. Our final prediction for the weekend, guys. Definitely Arsenal came close again last season, just lost on the final day of the season. And it's a beautiful thing that they pushed City till the last game, because Arsenal still had a chance to win the title on the last day. But against Wolverhampton Wanderers, they've turned to a selling club, just selling some of their biggest stars, and I don't think they've recruited the same quality as they've lost. Playing against Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium, I will start the predictions. I fear for Wolves. I seriously fear for Wolves. If what Arsenal did against Lyon and Bayern Leverkusen are anything to go by, or everything Arsenal did in preseason, and a lot of managers complain about Arteta that It's too competitive. It's preseason, friendly matches, but then Tata and his boys look like they're hungry and they want to perform. And I think Arsenal will absolutely batter Wolves in this one. First half of the game, Arsenal will score 2 goals. First half of the game, and the game is going to go away from Wolves. I don't see Wolves even scoring any goals. So I think it's going to be a very, very comfortable victory for Arsenal. Festus, you are smiling. Let me start with you.
Oh my God. When you say you fear for them, that was why I was smiling, because I'm even linking up to the historical, the stats we have here. The bookmakers are actually giving us now 80% to win.
Of
So
course, yes.
that you can
Of
imagine how
course,
crazy
yes.
that looks like. So they're giving Wolves 7% to win this match. And when you look at the matches played, the last 5 matches, and which happens to be all Premiership matches, Arsenal has won all 5 against 0, which means Wolves have not won Arsenal at least the last 5 matches. I always try to stay the last 5 matches. So they've taken bashing in between, some 5-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-1, 2-1. So I don't see it being different over the weekend. For me, Arsenal's attacking firepower and home advantage should see them through. This should be a convincing win against a struggling Wolf, like you said, who has showed a whole lot of qualities and have not replaced well. So I don't see anything less than 3-0 for Arsenal. I'm being modest here. I don't want to start, So I want to stay on 3-0 but I hope Arsenal takes advantage and start using this to increase their goal tallies. Because remember last season, it almost came down to that. So whatever we can, or whenever we get these kind of opportunities, we should use the opportunity to increase our goal tallies. But for me, I'm predicting 3-0.
All right, Eddie, you were also laughing when I was talking.
I don't bet against Arsenal at the Emirates, so I'm just going to be very consistent. This is going to be at least 4 goals. 4 goals to Arsenal.
I was afraid you were disagreeing with me when you were laughing.
No, it's 4 goals to Arsenal. I think there is no indication that Arteta is letting up. There's no indication that the boys are not focused on the task at hand. I think this will be a welcome back to the Premier League for the Arsenal fans, celebration as well. And I see 4 goals, in this game. I think Saka will put in 1. Jesus is going to put in 1. I really like Jesus preseason. He's the way he was getting to the ball and you doing a couple of things and being in the box. Because that's one thing that always saying about Jesus. He does all his work outside of the box and then he's not in the box to do stuff. So this is 4-0 to the Arsenal. Sorry, Wolves, but it's going to be a hard season.
Femi.
Well, it's very difficult to disagree with everyone, and FaZe always does a great job of looking at the bookmakers, and bookmakers actually provide the most accurate public information, to be fair. So like every season, they've always said Man City will win the league, and five of the last 7 they've won it, if not 6. So, or 6 of the last 8 anyway. That Pep has been there. But what I think Wolves, because of their manager, would prove to be very difficult at first because we want them to get through the first 15-20 minutes. If we score in the opening minutes, then I can see the floodgates opening. But if they get past the first 15 minutes, I think they might be difficult to beat, and we might just need to settle for a 1 or 2-0. But I hope that we score early just to settle everybody's nerves. Because the first game of the season can be quite tricky. But if we score early, that's me. If we score in the opening 15 minutes, I think we might go on to score at least 4 goals. That's how I see it. It's very difficult for me to tell whether we're going to score in those opening 15 minutes. But if we do, I'll say 4 goals. If not, I'll probably say we win by 1 or 2 goals. So my half can't tell you what's going to happen. Sorry. So that's the only caveat I'm going to put there. Opening 15 minutes and we go and score 4. We don't score in the opening 15 minutes. We're going to have to be patient and just go with the 1 or 2-0 victory.